Agriculture, Nutrition, Forestry to consider the Digital Commodities Intermediaries Act. This markup is the culmination of literally months of work. The legislation before us is the product of scores of bipartisan meetings and builds upon the bipartisan discussion draft Senator Booker and I released last year. That discussion draft was released in good faith, and we received significant stakeholder feedback. That feedback was discussed on a bipartisan basis, and while the conversations were cordial and substantive, what we found is that in some issues there were fundamental policy disagreements. In a democracy, that's okay. After months of work, we have made significant progress, really significant progress working together. Now it's time to move this process forward. As I've long said, the CFTC is the right agency to regulate the spot trading of digital commodities. This bill applies the agency's proven principles-based structure and grants its new regulatory authority to regulate the spot market trading of digital commodities. At a high level, this bill provides a clear definition of a digital commodity, protects innovation and technology, establishes consumer protection safeguards, and equips the agency with the necessary resources to take on this new responsibility. This markup is the first step in advancing market structure legislation in the Senate. Our colleagues on the Senate Banking Committee, under the leadership of Chairman Tim Scott, will advance their portion of market structure legislation in the near future, and I appreciate their hard work. Ultimately, our respective portions will need to be combined before they can move across the floor, and I look forward to working with my colleagues throughout that process. Both of our bills build upon the work done in the House led by Chairman Hill and Thompson, who last summer advanced the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, which received an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote on the House floor. In order to protect American consumers, onshore innovation, and allow U.S. businesses to continue to grow and prosper, we must grant the CFTC regulatory authority over the spot market trading of digital commodities. Advancing this bill is the first step, and there are many steps to come in achieving those goals. I also encourage the administration and Senate leadership to coordinate and ensure that the CFTC is fully constituted and adequately funded. While the CFTC is the right agency for this new responsibility and is under the excellent leadership of Chairman Seelig, it's essential to have a completely staffed, bipartisan commission, and just as importantly, the resources necessary for this large undertaking. I now recognize my friend and colleague, Senator Klobuchar.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and I truly appreciate the bipartisan efforts of this committee in many ways, but particularly the need to address the regulation of digital commodity markets. Last July, as our colleagues are aware, this committee held a stakeholder hearing in which we heard agreement on the need for a regulatory framework for spot markets in digital commodities that provides certainty and encourages innovation while at the same time ensures customer protection, which is one of our main goals, market integrity, a level playing field for market participants, and appropriate safeguards against money laundering and illicit finance. I truly appreciate the work that you've done, Mr. Chairman, as well as Senator Booker, who is leading our efforts here and is the ranking member of the subcommittee with jurisdiction over digital commodities. We have strong ranking members on our subcommittee, Senator Bennett on conservation, Senator Welch on rural development, Senator Slotkin on livestock, and also very significantly Senator Lujan on the work we've been doing on food nutrition. So the progress that has been made here is good, but I think we believe that we're not quite done yet. Senator Booker and I have talked about this several times, and while the bill before us today does not yet have bipartisan agreement, I hope we can continue to negotiate as this bill moves forward. Additionally, the bill can't be considered in isolation. Parallel legislation within the jurisdiction of the Banking Committee remains unresolved despite a lot of work that's been done on that front, and we think that that uncertainty has to be resolved. And we believe there's several key issues that must be addressed on ethics, on safeguards regarding public officials and market participants so that regulatory gaps aren't exploited in any way for, for personal gain. Second, we have to protect the independence of the CFTC. And while I appreciate that you, Mr. Chairman, have expressed support for appointing a bipartisan group of commissioners, we can't give the CFTC this broad new authority when it only has one member, one Republican member. Finally, we have to strengthen consumer protections to ensure that customer assets are protected, conflicts of interest are mitigated, and regulatory gaps are closed. But I want to just conclude by saying I truly appreciate the countless hours of work that our colleagues, my staff, their staff, have put into these negotiations, particularly you, Mr. Chairman, and you, Senator Booker. And I look forward to working with both of you as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. And also, I want to echo the hard work of our staffs. We're kind of at the tip of the spear, but we know who does all the work, and they do a tremendous job. And in this case, it's very complex. I think we would all agree with that completely, and they've just done a wonderful job. At this time, I'd like to recognize Senator Booker, and it's been a real pleasure with him, working with him and his staff as we've gone forward. And because of his help, I think we were able to make significant progress.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman, for your generous words. It's been actually a great experience working closely with you through this process. And I, too, want to thank the staffs. It's a great experience I have when I lean in so much. I get to know staff members on my Republican sides by name. Your staffer, Nathan, still has not shaved his head, as I've requested, which I think is an obnoxious act of defiance. But despite that one small hiccup, this has been a great experience. I want to thank Senator Klobuchar, whose leadership and extraordinary partnership in this effort has really enabled us to move the ball down the line. It has really been a privilege to work on these issues. And when Senator Klobuchar asked me last fall to help advance this bill, my team and I have taken it very seriously, and I've been very grateful for a lot of the folks on this side of the table who have really, really leaned in to master some complex issues. Look, we are in a point in American history that is exciting. It should excite everybody in our country. Digital assets and the ecosystem of innovation around financial services, blockchain technology, and decentralization that surrounds them is already a $3 trillion market, a figure that represents millions of customers. It represents thousands and thousands of tech jobs, startups, small businesses across the country. We are seeing an innovation explosion going on because of blockchain technology. This should excite everyone. What I and so many of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle see is that we are standing on the cusp of extraordinary humanity-changing breakthroughs that could give Americans a financial system that is faster, cheaper, and more inclusive. I have seen in my own community that the system we have right now often screws customers, hurts their ability to access financial markets. There is a democratizing force, or at least potential, that is moving across our country and across the world. And that's why in September, 12 Senate Democrats came together to say, we want a market structure bill. Because if we don't get market structure, the threats from around the world could actually make this light and possibility darkness and something we would regret. And so we laid out as Democrats what we needed to get there. It's why we have negotiated in good faith to get this bill done in this committee, through this committee. Senator Boozman and I have worked so closely together and productively. And in November, we were able to put together a bipartisan discussion draft, something I am so proud of. One of my better experiences in the Senate was getting this draft done and really putting together principles that have nothing to do with left and right, but principles that we could stand on with integrity. I believe that this could get the bipartisan support on the floor. In our joint press release, we said our bipartisan discussion draft included, and it's important to quote here, we said a clear definition of digital commodities and the establishment of a spot market digital commodity regulatory regime within the CFTC. We said together that we want robust consumer protections, including customer fund segregation requirements, conflicts of interest safeguards, appropriate customer disclosure requirements, and prohibitions on certain affiliated trading. We also said we want a trading registration regime designed to facilitate liquid and resilient regulated markets while, very important, protecting retail participants. We also said we want requirements for the CFTC and the SEC to coordinate and collaborate on necessary interagency rulemakings that this new area of technology demands. We also said, very importantly, we want protections for self-custody and innovative technology. We do not want to be criminalizing people who are writing code. And we said a new funding stream for the CFTC to stand up a spot market regulatory regime. The CFTC does not have the resources to do all that this committee is asking. And so I was excited. I went into the holidays. I got married. I had fun. It was extraordinary. And I came back to this committee. TMI? TMI, I'm sorry. I was so excited I almost drank milk in the committee too. But then I come back to Washington and start the year with the news that my Republican colleagues were walking away from the bipartisan process that produced the draft, and was also walking away from a lot of the very things that I read in the policy framework that held our agreement together. To be clear, the product put before us today is not the bipartisan draft that we're working on. It was negotiated with two parties at the table, but it isn't in accord with the principles we laid out in November in a bipartisan way. However, despite this, I still deeply believe in the work that we've done. We've come so long. In football parlance, I don't know if you know anything about this, Senator Tuberville, but in football parlance, we moved from our own goal line all the way down 70 yards. We're almost in the red zone on this bill. And that frustrates me because I see a bipartisan glide path to land this plane, to punch through the end zone, and I hope Senator Tuberville and I can do an end zone dance together. But what divides us here isn't some fundamental disagreement on both sides. It really isn't. This is not some kind of regular Washington partisanship. We've got this short distance with a clear path forward. This path is, just like we did last year, for us to sit at a table and close out the remaining issues. In the time since pens have been down on the product that's before us today, I've continued working. I sat with stakeholders literally last night. We were clearing up some of the DeFi differences that are not reflected in this bill. We got stakeholder accord last night. To resolve these outstanding issues, we continue to narrow the gap. I'm at the negotiating table, and I'm working with some of the most interested stakeholders in finalizing whether the short strokes, sorry to mix my metaphor, but in the short strokes, we're on the green. This isn't about partisan politics. This is about the process that we begin to heal and redeem Washington. This should be something we stay together and work together until we get it over the line, because I know this from Senator Boozman, who I also talked to yesterday. There's so much good faith here. I think Senator Boozman, Leader Thune, and then Chair Stabenow showed in 2022, when we introduced our first crypto bill together, that we could do great things. But right now, our inability to work together and move together in this final process is undermining our ability to get it done. I would be remiss before I conclude my remarks to just say, the White House has made this infinitely harder. And I've had private conversations with Republican colleagues, staffers, that agree with me. First of all, the fact that Donald Trump is grifting on crypto himself, it's like me creating a Corey coin. I'd probably prefer a Klobuchar coin. But this is ridiculous that the President of the United States and his family have made billions of dollars off of this industry and are still trying to create a framework here without the kind of ethics that would prevent this kind of gross corruption in our country that would undermine our nation's democracy. And then second, it's outrageous that we've seen in the last year an attack on independent agencies. How could we not have at the CFTC Democratic members at a time that we're doing this important work? So I'm just going to say right now, I've had one of the best experiences I've had in my 12 years in Washington working with Senator Boozman. Truly a good man, as we all know around this table. I'm simply asking, let's get back to work. We can finish this in the next week or two in a bipartisan way, have a celebration. I may drink some milk, soy, and we can dance in the end zone when we get this across the line. That's what I'm asking. But until then, we can't support this partisan draft. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you. And again, we're committed to continue working with you. And there's all kinds of mechanisms that we can use to amend this bill in the future if we choose to, in the sense of a manager's amendment and things like that. So we appreciate your willingness, like I say, to continue. What we want is a bipartisan bill. What I'd like to do is, this is so important. Many of you would like to speak for a few. I'd like for it to be 3 minutes, a hard 3 minutes, because we've got so much going on at the same time right now. But if you'd like to do that, then let's do it. The other thing is I want to say is we've got a great committee on both sides. You all work together so well. We're very different, which makes us stronger, because when we do come to agreement, it really does represent the entire span of our conferences. So whoever would like to be noted, Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I associate myself with Senator Booker's remarks, all except the wedding part. Chairman, thank you for working with us on this. There's a group of about 12 of us on the Democratic side of the aisle who have been a part of a working group to try to get a market structure bill across the finish line, who've been working on this. Many of the Democrats at this table, part of that group. As a leader in innovation, California understands just how important these developments in technology are, ranging from artificial intelligence to cryptocurrency, all the blockchain applications. We want these jobs, we want this industry to stay in the United States. And that means that we need to have rules of the road where we're not essentially making decisions through litigation, which was the course in the past, and it's a terrible way to regulate an industry. So we need to get this done, and I think we've made tremendous progress. There has been a real narrowing of the gap in our negotiations over a market structure bill. But to underscore one of the points that Senator Booker was making, it's going to need to include ethics language. Now, this shouldn't be ethics language that singles anyone out or excludes anyone. It should cover all federal officials and those in the workforce, from the Congress on up to the president and the president on down. We need to make sure that we're not in the business of issuing, sponsoring, and endorsing our own digital currencies. That's just rife with problems of conflict of interest and self-enrichment. It's not difficult to really write the rules. It may be difficult politically to get them done, but we need strong ethics safeguards throughout the industry. And I think the industry understands that and is supportive of that. We have, I think, made enormous progress on resolving differences on that issue, and on Title I of the bill. We've narrowed the ground in terms of decentralized finance. We're making a lot of progress, and we need to get this done. I expect the vote today in this committee will probably fall on party lines. That is not reflective, though, I think, of the progress that we've made, and it's my hope that we can combine all of our work product ultimately into a single bill that sets clear rules of the road, protects consumers, protects the financial system, supports innovation, democratizes access to finance, sets strong ethical principles. This is not beyond our capacity, and I hope we can get it done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Slotkin.
Thank you. 2 Democrats in a row. I appreciate that. Just want to say very quickly, similarly, I think Many of us on this committee appreciate the bipartisan work, and let it be an outpost for bipartisanship in a sea of partisanship that we now have up in this body. And I really hope that that continues. And a lot of us, myself included, were very invested in getting some bipartisan work done on this issue. It's new. It's the exact kind of thing that the Senate should be weighing in on, and to make it sustainable and durable, it should be bipartisan. And I'm just disappointed that we're here where we are, and it just feels like the White House came in on top of everything and said, well, you're doing this work and you're being diligent and you're being the deliberative body, but we want what we want. And so we're going to shortcut what you're doing and turn this into a partisan issue when it doesn't have to be. I would just say the ethics piece to me is a big part of it. And I just think if we're honest with ourselves, if any president, Democrat or Republican, had earned what I understand to be $867 million off of various cryptocurrencies, I know the other side of the aisle would be having a conniption if this had been Joe Biden or Barack Obama. It's just an enormous amount of money. 336 million of that is just from his meme coin. We have to address that issue. It's like a glaring issue. And I get it. Lots of politicians do lots of things. It's just so obvious. And I understand that's hard, but that is the job of a separate branch of government, to push back on that kind of abuse of power. Number two, the CFTC, it's supposed to have 5 commissioners. You've said it yourself, Chairman, which I appreciate. Make it be bipartisan. Handing over responsibility for oversight of this bill to one guy who, in his own confirmation hearing in front of our committee, was very open about being very pro-crypto industry, just doesn't give confidence that, again, we're going to have appropriate, balanced oversight on a very new issue. And then thirdly, I want to associate myself with what Senator Moran and others have suggested, the national security side of this. While we're talking about these things as policy issues, let's not forget that back home, any hospital of ours that's been ransomed, any K through 12 school, any unit of government that's been ransomed has always been paying in cryptocurrencies that usually dump out in places like Russia or China or North Korea. So we need, if not in our bill, in the companion bill, real national security language in order to protect ourselves and our people. With those things, I'm here to sign on to that bill. I'm sad that we're having a partisan markup, but look forward to getting back to real bipartisan work on this issue. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator recognized.
First, I want to start by echoing the remarks from Senator Booker as well, Mr. Chairman. I also want to thank you. You've been very fair with all the work that I've done on this committee, Mr. Chairman. And as I look to my colleagues on this side of the aisle, I've been proud to work with them, co-sponsor legislation with, I think, each and every one of you. It shows how we can work together. You know, there's a lot of attention to where there's disagreement, but we all know that good work can get done. And I want to applaud you for that as well. I also want to recognize Senator Klobuchar for her work and her leadership as well. And it's fun to know that there's going to be 2 governors from this committee in this next 2 years, but I can't talk about that too much. Now, Mr. Chairman, let me be clear. I remain committed to finding a solution here and a path forward like our colleagues. I'm proud to be part of those 12 Democrats working together, sharing ideas to see what we can do in this space. I've been proud to chat with you a little bit about this as well. Clear rules that are going to support innovation, that are going to provide support to consumers, and that are going to ensure that terrorists and cartels don't take advantage of loopholes. I'll get to that in a minute. Now, unfortunately, when some of our colleagues decided to walk away from that bipartisan bill that many of us applauded in December, I really thought the Ag Committee was in a position to provide the example to the Banking Committee colleagues, some of which are also on this committee, a path forward, because one of us has to go. And if one of us can work on a good, strong, bipartisan piece of legislation, I really believe it provides the path forward to solidifying this on the floor. Now, as you all know, if Democrats wanted a partisan bill, we could have done it when we were in the majority. But that was a bad choice to move in a partisan way, to say, no, I understand basic arithmetic. You know, yesterday, all of the Head Start folks were in town, right, Raphael? Raphael are the only 2 that went to Head Start, by the way. I hope there's more that join us in this body that are members of the Senate. But, you know, I remember this little thing on there that had little beads on it and rods. I think it was called an abacus. And they taught me how to count. Well, 2 years ago, we knew you had to get to 60 votes. The same exists now. We got to get to 60, my friends. And so let's find a way to do that. And let's not let basic arithmetic escape us. And just as my time concludes here, Mr. Chairman, cartels and terrorists, national security. There's not a one of us that serves in this body, not a one of us in the House or in the Senate, that wants to see a loophole that allows terrorists and cartels to take advantage of any of our finance systems. Not a one. Now, we keep talking about this thing called DeFi. Go and have a town hall and talk to your constituents about DeFi and see how many of them are going to be able to talk to you about it with clarity. This is about closing loopholes so cartels and terrorists can't do the bad shit that they are doing. That's what this is. If you don't believe me, go sit in a skiff and get the briefings that many of us have received. It is frightening what they're doing. Let's close it. And I know that we can do it. I've spoken to several of my colleagues. We can get there, Mr. Chairman. That's the one area I've been pushing so aggressively. And I hope we call it for what it is. This is illicit finance policy that we should get right so that cartels and terrorists cannot take advantage of these loopholes. So I thank you for the time, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else? Before proceeding to legislation, I ask unanimous consent that letters sent to the committee regarding the legislation we are considering today be included in the record. Without objection, so ordered. I ask also unanimous consent that members be permitted to submit their statements regarding today's legislation for the record. Without objection, so ordered. We will proceed with the consideration of the Digital Commodities Intermediaries Act. Do any other committee members wish to debate or offer amendments to the Digital Commodity Intermediaries
I'd like to
Act?
offer an amendment.
Senator Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it very much. I call up Bennett Amendment number 2. The Bennett Amendment would prevent all federal elected officials, federal candidates, and certain members of their family from issuing or endorsing digital assets. It requires them to place these assets into a blind trust and ensures that those of us who hold public office, Mr. Chairman, abide by the most basic standards of transparency and accountability. This provision is something I've worked on and advocated for over the last year because I think this issue strikes at the core of our democracy. This amendment is not about crypto or even particularly about President Trump. It's about returning to a system of government and ethics that we thought the American people deserved and that they did deserve, that they do deserve. When Jimmy Carter became president, he placed his peanut farm into a blind trust. When George W. Bush became president, he sold his interest in the Texas Rangers baseball club. Think about how far we are today from when those people served in office in this nation's capital. Republicans and Democrats alike understood that the appearance of corruption or self-enrichment undermined the office they were prepared to occupy and eroded the American people's confidence in their government and in their elected representatives, including the members of this committee. But President Trump's series of opaque deals and investments, much of it in the crypto sector, have raised serious concerns about the buying and selling of public favors, not to mention serious national security risks. That's something I do hear about in my town hall meetings. Since returning to office, the Trump family's paper net worth has at times grown as high as $11 billion, Mr. Chairman. Last year, he and his family earned over $1 billion in realized profit from the many crypto ventures they are involved in. Mr. Chairman, I'd ask to include in the record some articles related to that.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All the Bennett Amendment does, all it does, is prevent the president and vice president, no matter who they are, and the members of the Senate and the House, from pursuing new avenues for selling influence and self-enrichment, something I think we all could agree with. It prevents all of us around this dais and our colleagues in the House and Senate from doing it in will. And by the way, it requires us to put those assets into a blind trust. That doesn't seem like asking very much, Mr. Chairman. I don't know how we're advancing a piece of legislation on this issue without these rules. It seems like the bare minimum the American people would expect from their elected officials, that they would put their interests and the interests of their communities ahead of any possible opportunity for personal gain. This should be the easiest amendment any of us will ever have the chance to vote on. And it's a chance to be able to send to the American people a message that we understand how skeptical they are right now of a political process and the motivations of those in power. Adopting the Bennett Amendment sends a signal to the American people that their government works for them and for their children, that it is their needs and their concerns that are being taken into account and nothing else left in the balance. Mr. Chairman, I urge my colleagues to support the amendment and thank the chair for the opportunity to raise this issue before the committee.
Thank you, Senator Bennett, and I appreciate your concern and work on this issue for a long time. However, the issue of elected officials and their family members' ownership in digital assets extends beyond the bill and must have input from more members than just this committee if the full Senate decides to consider the issue. For those reasons, I can't support the amendment, and I urge my colleagues to oppose.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add, if we are going to establish this new regulatory framework, we have to put safeguards in place to prevent corruption, self-dealing, including from those in positions of power who might sponsor, issue, or profit from digital tokens. And I want to thank Senator Bennett for proposing this change, and it has widespread support on the Democratic side. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, as I said, I understand Senator Bennett's concern, your concern, and yet, as Senator Bennett said, this has nothing to do with crypto. And our committee is the Ag Committee, and as a result, this is way beyond its jurisdiction. Anybody else?
Are we going to have a vote, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, seeing no further debate, the question is on the amendment. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Klobuchar.
Aye.
Senator Bennett.
Aye.
Senator Smith. Aye. Senator Durbin. Aye. Senator Booker. Aye. Senator Lujan. Aye. Senator Warnock.
Aye.
Senator Welch.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Fetterman.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Schiff. Aye. Senator Slotkin.
Aye.
Senator McConnell.
Aye by proxy. I'm sorry. And I wouldn't do that to Senator McConnell.
I'll tell you what, I thought this was my lucky day, Mr. Chairman.
You're dealing with a chairman that's quite capable of doing it. So, no, by proxy.
Senator Hoven. Senator Ernst. No. Senator Highsmith. No. Senator Marshall. Senator Marshall. Senator Everill. Senator Justice. No. Senator Grassley. No. Senator Zoon. No. Senator Fisher. No. Senator Moran.
No by proxy.
Chairman Boozman.
No.
The ayes are 11, the noes are 12.
On this vote, the ayes are 11 and the noes are 12. The amendment is not agreed to. Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment that is pending before the committee, and I want to make sure I get the appropriate designation for it here. It is an amendment related to a bailout of crypto intermediaries. I don't have a number right before me. Can the staff identify that?
Durbin 1.
Durbin 1.
Durbin 1. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I propose an amendment that would prevent the Federal Reserve or the Department of Treasury from providing digital commodity intermediaries with a taxpayer-funded bailout. Cryptocurrencies are a risky, unpredictable, volatile investment. How risky? Look at the last 5 years. In November of 2022, we saw the collapse of FTX, in which customers lost $8 billion. Months later, Silvergate Capital, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, all financial institutions that provided banking services to cryptocurrency, and they all collapsed. And in the last year, we've seen a continuous fluctuation in the price of crypto each time President Trump announces new, chaotic tariff and international policies. For example, since hitting a record high last October, Bitcoin has fallen nearly 30%, erasing all gains from earlier in the year. It's clear that crypto, unlike traditional stocks and bonds, is a uniquely risky asset. That's why polling consistently shows that a majority of Americans say they have no interest in ever buying crypto. Last year, that number reached 64%, almost 2 out of 3 of the people that we represent. If and when a crypto crash occurs, American taxpayers should not be left holding the bag, bailing out these intermediaries, especially corrupt crypto ventures that are owned by the president and his family. It would be unfair to expose taxpayers to the risks of crypto market if they've chosen to avoid the risk for themselves. Here's the bottom line. I'm a crypto skeptic. Unless there is meaningful, enforceable regulation, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's my decision. But what if others decide it's worth the risk? The reward is just too big to ignore, and decide to invest in it and guess wrong. Who is left holding the bag? Historically, we've found with the savings and loan bailout and other tragedies in our financial markets, the taxpayers end up holding the bag. For those who are skeptical of this amendment, let me say the obvious. If you think crypto is that solid, don't worry. No need for a bailout. But if you have a doubt in your mind, for goodness sakes, don't let your innocent taxpayer families hold the bag when this is all over. I hope you'll support this amendment.
Does anybody want to comment on it? Thank you, Senator Durbin. Well, I appreciate your sentiment, and I know it's coming from your heart and you're very concerned. Protecting taxpayer funding, which we all are very concerned about this. Protecting taxpayer funding in the event of a failure of a CFTC registered intermediary. Nothing in the bill would grant the CFTC authority to provide assistance to an intermediary in the event of bankruptcy. So they don't have the authority to do that now. So an explicit prohibition is unnecessary. Further, the direction to the Treasury Secretary changes to the Federal Reserve Act are better left to the Banking Committee. This is the Ag Committee. The area that we're focused on today is very, very narrow. And so for that reason, we would oppose the bill, the amendment. Anybody else have any comments?
Just that I don't think people want to have the government in the business of bailouts, and there's widespread support for Senator Durbin's efforts on our side of the aisle.
The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Klobuchar.
Aye.
Senator Bennett. Aye. Senator Smith. Aye. Senator Durbin.
Aye.
Senator Booker.
I love Dick Durbin. Aye.
Senator Lujan.
Aye.
Senator Warnock.
Aye.
Senator Welch.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Fetterman.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Schiff.
Aye.
Senator Slotkin.
Aye.
Senator McConnell. Senator Hoeven. Senator Ernst. Senator Hyde-Smith. Senator Marshall. Senator Tuberville. Senator Justice. Senator Grassley. Senator Thune. Senator Fisher. Senator Moran.
No by proxy.
Chairman Boozman.
No.
The ayes are 11, the noes are 12.
The ayes are 11, the noes are 12. The amendment fails.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have a second amendment which I can offer now if it's
Okay.
appropriate.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Not only is crypto a risky and volatile investment, it is used to facilitate criminal scams every single day. There's one type of scam that's particularly concerning to me. Scams facilitated by crypto ATMs. These machines have been called the getaway vehicle of fraudsters. That's why I'm proposing an amendment that would provide protections for the victims of crypto ATM scams and help law enforcement combat fraud facilitated by these machines. There are more than 31,000 of these crypto ATMs in circulation, 285 in Iowa, 239 in Arkansas, 427 in Minnesota, 1,484 in my home state of Illinois. These machines have been making local and national headlines. You probably receive calls in your office from senior citizens to tell what happened with the crypto scam. Here's how it works. Unsuspecting American receives a phone call that they owe taxes to the IRS or a penalty for missing jury duty. Then the scammer tells the victim they can pay now so it won't be embarrassing to them and their families, and do it at a crypto ATM. They give the victim step-by-step directions. Head to the nearest crypto ATM. Stay on the phone until the money is deposited into the machine and transferred into their digital wallet. Before the victim realizes it's a scam, their money is gone. Sometimes all of their money is gone. Last year, the FBI received more than 12,000 complaints of crypto ATM fraud and found that Americans reported losing more than $333 million from crypto ATM scams. These scams disproportionately impact senior citizens. My amendment would require crypto ATM companies to register with the CFTC and document their kiosk locations. It would require crypto ATM companies to provide common sense guardrails like mandatory disclosures and fraud warnings, daily transaction limits, and that turned out to be a major element. People give away their life savings to these machines as part of this scam. If we limit the amount they could lose in a day, sometimes they'll come to their senses or somebody will come to their assistance. Lastly, my amendment would provide full refund for new customers and refunds the transaction fees, which can be as high as 26% for existing customers who were scammed. It's time for Congress to do its part. 27 states already have some pending legislation or regulation when it comes to the use of these machines. If theirs is stronger than this federal standard, it applies. We do not preempt any state decision. But Mr. Chairman, I will tell you, I've had cases in my hometown of Springfield, Illinois, where senior citizens have stood crying in front of these crypto ATM machines, giving away their life savings because they thought they had no alternative. It is so embarrassing that the $300 a month paid to the occupant, the landlord, is not enough. Some have said, I've got to remove these machines. I can't stand to see this happen day in and day out. Let's do something for the consumers and senior citizens across America. Please support this amendment.
Does anybody want to comment? Let me very quickly, again, Senator Durbin, I appreciate you bringing this up. This is such an important topic, and I know you've worked hard on it, and I think we all agree with what you're saying. Right now, our colleagues on the Banking Committee have language in their base text around the issue. So I don't want to undermine their work, and I'm happy to work with you and them before the bills are merged onto the floor. So for this reason, we can't support it, but we do support what you're trying to do and, commit to solving this problem, again, as we merge things together and then working with the House.
Just thanking Senator Durbin for proposing this amendment to give the CFTC an explicit mandate for this type of fraud, and we recommend a yes vote, and I think there's widespread support on our side.
Anybody else? Clerk will call the roll.
Senator Klobuchar.
Aye.
Senator Bennett. Aye. Senator Smith. Aye. Senator Durbin. Senator Booker. Aye. Senator Lujan. Aye. Senator Warnock. Aye. Senator Welch.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Fetterman.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Schiff.
Aye.
Senator Slotkin.
Aye.
Senator McConnell.
No.
Senator Hoven.
No.
Senator Ernst.
No.
Senator Hyde-Smith.
No.
Senator Marshall. Senator Tuberville.
No.
Senator Justice.
No.
Senator Grassley? Senator Thune? Senator Fisher? Senator Moran? Chairman Boozman?
No. Yes. Senator Marshall is a no.
The ayes are 11, the noes are 12.
Ayes are 11, those are 12, so the amendment fails. And yet again, thank you, Senator Durbin, for bringing it up. And this is something that we certainly commit to helping you and to getting done before we go to the floor. Senator Tuberville.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer my amendment, Tuberville number 1. America is a free market economy, but our markets are not free for all. For too long, we have allowed our adversaries like the Chinese Communist Party to exploit our systems and meddle in our markets, investing in critical sectors, manipulating supply chains, and stealing sensitive data from the American people. My amendment is simple. It would prohibit entities owned or under the influence of our foreign adversaries from being able to meddle in our digital commodity markets. If we are to remain the leader of digital assets, we must protect our markets from those who seek to destroy us. This is as straightforward as it gets. This is about protecting the privacy of Americans. This is about ensuring our digital markets are not compromised by our enemies. This is about allowing Americans to invest without fear of being exploited. My amendment will keep America's digital markets secure, private, and free from foreign influence. I'd also like to offer my amendment, Tuberville number 2. My amendment will clarify what activities require registration as a dealer. We are creating new regulatory requirements with this bill, but we must be sure we don't overdo it. We must tailor it to what is absolutely necessary. We all have confidence in the current CFTC chairman, but we need to make sure that we give the commission appropriate guidance. Simply put, my amendment would clarify that dealer regulatory requirements apply only to the specific activities that require dealer registration. Mr. Chairman, we cannot afford to create an unlevel playing field or harm investors like those back in my home state. However, understanding what we're trying to accomplish today, I will withdraw both of my amendments and ask that you work with me on including these provisions as we work to pass this bill. Thank you.
Does anybody have any comments? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to recognize what Senator Tuberville is doing here. This goes to the point that I was making earlier. One of the amendments does. If my colleagues haven't sat in the banking committee's briefing in a skiff, please go down and learn. There are loopholes that terrorists and cartels are using today that the United States knows about. It's been written about in public sources, all the details have not because of classified reasons. If this can't be voted on in this committee, I would hope it'd be part of the base bill here. This is good. This is something Democrats and Republicans should agree on for the good of the American people. And so I certainly hope, Mr. Chairman, that this language and anything else that Senator Tuberville comes up with that's stronger, that it can be included.
Thank you, Senator Lujan. And again, as you mentioned, it's going down the skiff and talking about banking. And what we'd like to do is work with you and Senator Tuberville, really all of us working together as we go forward to work this out and work with our friends on the Banking Committee and in the House to figure out a path forward. So we appreciate you offering and withdrawing. Are there any other amendments? Senator Moran.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I too have an amendment in a related vein. The amendment I submitted for this legislation would prohibit the digital commodity platforms from conducting substantial amounts of business or maintaining critical infrastructure within the jurisdiction of our foreign adversaries. As digital asset space grows, more Americans interact with exchanges and platforms that store their data. It is important we make certain that the Americans' data stays out of the hands of our adversaries. Mr. Chairman, the work that you have put into this bill, along with Banking Chairman Scott, lays the framework for how American digital asset companies can operate and offer their services to their customers. The U.S. can and will be a leader in cryptocurrency and digital asset space, but we should not assume that our adversaries will treat American customers and their data how we would. It's an important conversation that is begun already in this committee. It's an important conversation that requires some careful thought. I look forward to working further with the chairman and his staff to further develop the idea as market structure legislation moves forward. I also thank Senator Slotkin for her partnership on these national security and fraud issues. And I also support Senator Tuberville's amendment that would prohibit companies located in foreign adversary countries from registering with the CFTC. Efforts like these are intended to increase the safety and security of American consumers, a goal that we all should support. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and yield back.
Thank you, Senator Moran. And again, we look forward to working with you on this. This is something that's very important. Like so many of the things have been brought up, but we need to work with banking. We need to work with the House and come up with a solution, which we're committed to doing. So thank you for offering and withdrawing, but also just to bring us to understand that this is something we really need to consider.
Mr. Chairman, I withdraw my amendment.
Thank you. I just also wanted to add about how important this is. Thanks, Senator Slotkin, for her work on this, as well as you, Mr. Senator Moran. We look at this, we've got to be protected by foreign adversaries. So thank you for bringing up this amendment. We look forward to working with you on this in the days to come.
Very good. Any other amendments? Seeing no further amendments or debate on amendments, the question is on ordering that the bill, Digital Commodities Intermediaries Act, be reported as an original bill. I note the presence of a reporting quorum. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Klobuchar.
No.
Senator Bennett.
No.
Senator Smith.
No.
Senator Durbin.
Nope.
Senator Booker.
No.
Senator Lujan. No. Senator Warnock.
No.
Senator Welch.
No by proxy.
Senator Fetterman.
No by proxy.
Senator Schiff.
No.
Senator Slotkin.
No.
Senator McConnell. Senator Hoeven. Senator Ernst. Aye. Senator Hyde-Smith. Aye. Senator Marshall.
Aye.
Senator Tuberville. Aye. Senator Justice. Aye. Senator Grassley. Aye. Senator Thune. Aye. Senator Fisher. Aye. Senator Moran.
Aye.
Chairman Boozman.
Aye.
The ayes are 12, noes are 11.
The ayes are 12, the noes are 11. With that, the bill passes and will be reported. I ask for unanimous consent in preparing these pieces of legislation for reporting. Staff will be authorized to make technical and clarifying conforming changes as appropriate. Seeing no objection, so ordered. And with that, this phase ends. If anybody else would like to say anything about the bill, we would be glad to entertain that. So I know everybody's busy. Well, go ahead.
No.
Very good.
See if any of my members.
Thank you to the members of our committee, and the business meeting is adjourned.